Hey y'all, it's your girl Hope, your TV movie bestie, and I watch good shit. And y'all already know I just got done watching the season finale of Paradise. All right, y'all, buckle up, baby, because it's about to get bumpy. First of all, let me just say I thought this was a perfect ending to this season. Like, it answered all my questions. Now, I do have a few new questions, but all of my questions were answered. Everything I was hoping for, it gave me. Just job well done to everybody involved with Paradise. Now, please don't make us wait forever for season 3. Y'all already got it written. Let's go ahead and get it filmed. I figure by the end of the year, we could get this thing on TV again. Like, we are ready. Okay, but let's get into episode 8. Okay, so we open 9 years in the past, and we are in Henry's class. Now, remember, Henry was killed by Billy on Sinatra's orders earlier in the season. Henry is a quantum physics teacher, and Dylan, aka Link, is in his class. And Dylan is like, I just built an AI computer that predicts the future, and it also corrects what goes wrong in the future. And so Henry's like, so what now? Class dismissed. So he brings Dylan on home. He introduces Dylan to Alex, who is his wife. She is, dying. Dylan meets her. Okay, Dylan and Henry, they get to work on building this AI machine, bigger, better, all of this. So he's like, we gotta secure grant money, I have to be the face of it because no one's gonna believe that a kid built this. You don't have a reputable, standing in the community. So I have to be the face. Henry meets Sinatra. And Sinatra comes in and she says, I'm trying to build the world's fastest computer because I want to eliminate the climate crisis before it becomes a problem. She says, would you like to be on my team to do that? Henry says, what kind of funding you working with? So one of her guys hands him a piece of paper and he says, this paper is blank. And she says, yeah, I know. So build me the fastest computer. And he's like, let's go. Like, we ain't got no budget. Let's go. So get to building the computer. Okay, so one day Sinatra comes in and he's like, we got to shut down Alex. So he named the AI computer Alex after his wife. So we already know who Alex is finally. So I was right about that because on my last video at the end, I said, what if Alex is AI? Okay, so he's like, we got to shut Alex down. And she's like, why? I thought you said Alex was doing a good job. And he says, yeah, she is, but she's starting to manipulate time. And Sinatra's like, say more. I don't understand. And he said, Alex just solved an equation that would take a supercomputer a lifetime to solve. And she like, great. And he said, no, we didn't even ask it a question yet. So I said, oh, hell no. Y'all, AI is the best and worst thing that has ever happened to us. Like, y'all seen Terminator? They coming after us. Okay, so Sinatra's like, no, we good. So then we go into present day. Okay, so Sinatra, she done wrote the subway, she's down wherever with Alex. Okay, so there's another professor, doctor, who's with Alex. Henry told her that they would start to know if Alex was getting too smart by anomalies. So like weird coincidences, things that shouldn't be happening but are happening, those kind of anomalies that once you start noticing those, that's when you know Alex is taking over. So she said, hey, I think I noticed an anomaly today. Dylan. So she's like, I think I met my son who died and is now back. So the doctor's like, okay, that's weird. He said, something we've noticed about Alex is we haven't even activated her, but we think she's trying to communicate with us. And so he says, she's been making predictions and they've been coming true. She's been predicting things about the weather. She predicted that you would come down here today. He said, and she gave us this. And so he hands Sinatra this piece of paper and it says for user X and it has all these like coordinates and numbers on it. And so she says, what is this? And he's like, we don't know. He says, well, who is user X? And they said, we don't know that either. She's like, okay, this is weird. And they said, yeah, so she also said that today was your last day coming down here. And the reason it's your last day coming down here is because by the end of the day, you'll be dead. And Sinatra's like, do what now? So, okay, we're back in the upstairs part of the bunker. And the systems are failing. Everything's off the rails. And Gabby is the only person up there. So they're like, what are we going to do? Like, we don't know. And so Gabby said, let's open the doors. And she says, maybe that'll take like some of the pressure off the system and hopefully it'll like level off, reset itself or something. So they say, okay, so they open the doors. Okay, now mind you, the militia, they outside, Link and his crew, and they got tanks. Tanks? I said, where they get tanks from? Y'all, I was not ready for tanks. Dilla and his crew, they like, the door's opening. This is set up, what we think. And Dylan's like, I don't know, we going in. I'm like, y'all got a tank, just going in there. So they start heading in. Meanwhile, at the same time all this is going on, the train has arrived to the bunker and X and Terry, they get off. Terry's like, what now, X? And he's like, I don't know. And he said, look, let's get off the train. Let's get on foot and just go find the kids before shit starts going down. Oh, too late. Shit is already going down. So Xavier's daughter and Sinatra's daughter, they are trapped in the elevator. So remember, they were going down to the bunker and then the system started going crazy and they got locked in the elevators. So there's an explosion in the basement. Now remember, we got the three musketeers down in the basement. We got the builder, we got Jeremy, who is the first president's son, and we got Robinson. So there's an explosion. Okay, we lose the builder. He dies in the explosion. So Robinson and Jeremy are like, all right, we got to get out of here. So meanwhile, all this is going on. Back up in the bunker, they're like, the cooling towers, they just went out with this explosion. And so they're like, what we gonna do now? And so Gabby is like, we got to get everybody out of here. Let's initiate Exodus. So Exodus is a mass evacuation of everybody out the bunker. So now everybody's running through the town. They trying to get out. So people grabbing stuff, they getting in cars, they driving off, all of this. Because remember, the doors are open. So they on the way out. Okay. Now, X and Terry, they get in, they run around, they seeing everybody going crazy. Okay, they looking for their kids. So they get to the house, no kids are there. So they're like, oh my gosh. So they take off through the town. They happen to run into James, their son. And they're like, okay, great. James like, Mama, you back? Yes, baby. Okay, where your sister at? And so he's like, I don't know. She called on her phone. She said something about being trapped in the elevator. I can't find her. So Terry is like, X, we got to go find her. So X says, look, you take James and you get out of here and I'm going to go find Presley. So he goes in the bunker and he finds Sinatra. And so he's like, look, what's going on? Because Sinatra, she's back up in the bunker and she runs into Gabby and everybody. And Gabby's like, look, I initiated Exodus. We got to get everybody out of here because this place is about to blow up. And so Sinatra's like, okay, that's a great idea. You did the right thing. And she's like, you got blood on you. What's going on here? And so Gabby is like, oh, that's Jane blood. I had to kill her because she was going to kill me. And Sinatra's like, okay, all right. And so she says, Gabby, why don't you go and try to help people? She's like, you're really good at getting people together. She said, help people get to safety. Go on out there and do that. You've done good work. And so Gabby's like, okay. So Gabby leaves. So it's just Sinatra and she evacuates everybody. So it's just her in like the command center. So X comes in and he's like, where my daughter at? He said, I know you got cameras on this whole place. She said she's stuck in some kind of elevator. So she's like, you back? Okay. And so she says, yep, let me look her up. So she finds her. And of course, she finds her daughter with her because she don't know her daughter there too. And she's like, oh my gosh, I know exactly where they are. Let's go. And so X is like, no, I don't trust you. And he's like, I'm going to go get my daughter. And she's like, come on, this is my daughter too. Like, I'm not going to hurt your daughter when she with my daughter. And so she's like, you also are going to need clearance to get down there. And so he's like, all right, well, give me your bracelet because she got a bracelet. And she's like, well, if I take my bracelet off, it's going to deactivate and it won't let you in. And so he's like, all right, well, come on. And he's like, but if you slow me down, I'm going to cut your arm off. And she's like, okay, cool. So they head off to try to find and rescue Priestley and Hadley, her daughter. Abby, she's getting to work. She's starting to evacuate people. She's getting them out. So Sinatra and X, they have a moment as they're going down in the elevators. And Sinatra is like, you know, I'm so glad that you're okay. I'm so glad that you're alive. And I'm glad that you're back. And she said, you know, I think that out of all the people down here, you're one of the only good people. And so he's like, okay, like, you know, you did try to kill my daughter earlier in the season, and then I almost tried to kill you, but okay, we're moving past that. Okay, we go to the two musketeers now. So Jeremy and Robinson. Okay, so they trying to get out, but Robinson is severely injured. She's like cut or stabbed or something in the side, and she's like, I don't think I'm gonna make it. Jeremy, you got to get out of here. And so Jeremy's like, I ain't going without you. And she's like, look, we probably both not going to make it. But, you know, your daddy, he was my boo thing. I loved him. I never got a chance to tell him that. And she was like, this is why I've been fighting for you, trying to save you this whole time. And she's like, I'm not going to let you die down here. So get on out of here, get to safety. And so he's like, I don't want to, but okay, you're right. I got to go. So Robinson looking like she might not make it. And I'm like, dog, Robinson. So Jeremy is gone. So Dylan and his crew, they come in and they're like, okay, we got to go shut down this system. So Dylan is like, no, I got to find Alex. And they like, no, we have to shut down this system, because if we don't shut down this system, the whole thing's going to blow up and it ain't going to be no point in trying to find Alex at that point, because we all going to be dead. So he's like, okay, let's go, try to shut the system down. So they go down to the basement. They're trying to work, and then there's another explosion. And then one of their guys doesn't make it. So he dies in this explosion as well. So they're like, dang, they take off. So then Sinatra and Xavier, they get down to where the elevators are, and they're trying to get the doors open, but they can't get the doors open. Y'all, this whole episode was just crazy. This is why I was standing up the whole time, because I was like, I cannot sit down. I've got to pay attention to what's going on. Okay, so Jeremy, he's left Robinson, but now he's back, and he's back with help. And I was like, yay! Okay, so they get Robinson, and all of them, they're getting out. Okay, now we're back to the elevators with Sinatra, Xavier, and the girls. Okay, the girls, they can't get out. They're trying to push the doors open. Sinatra and X trying to get the doors open. Nobody can get the doors open. So they kind of get the door open, but like they're too far down to get out. So Xavier, he jumps down in, and he's like, all right, y'all, I'm gonna give you a boost. You get up on my shoulders like a piggyback. And he's like, I'm gonna push y'all out. And at this time, here comes Dylan, his crew, and they're helping. Okay, so Xavier, he picks the girls up, he pushes them up, and then Lincoln, his crew, they pull them from the top up. Okay, so they're doing this, they get both girls up, and now it's just Xavier. Whew, and another explosion goes off. And so Xavier, he's climbing out, and right as the explosion goes off, the elevator drops and he gets pulled out. And I said, oh my gosh, y'all, I'm so stressed. Okay, so then Dylan is like, all right, everybody to the trucks, we get out of here. So he lets everybody go except for Sinatra and Xavier. And he holds the gun to him. And he's like, take me to Alex. Dylan, we really don't have time for this. Like, we have got to get the fuck out of here. So Sinatra is like, look, Dylan, you're my son and it's really complicated. And she's like, but Alex is already working and like, we don't have to worry about Alex. And so then here come the nosebleeds. Xavier nosebleed, Dylan nosebleed. And I'm like, what is going on? Okay, so Xavier says, Dylan, I know Annie. And he's like, Annie? Like, where'd she come from? Because he basically forgot about Annie. And so he's like, I met Annie. Annie saved my life. She also had a baby, your baby, and I got your baby. The baby is safe, and I can take you to the baby, but we got to get up out of here. And so he's like, whoa. Now, earlier in the season, remember Xavier kept having these flashbacks of something, and it was Dylan, and he didn't know who Dylan was, and he didn't know why he was having these flashbacks, and we still don't really know that exactly, but it's some kind of indication of Dylan and Xavier are linked, and they're supposed to be together, and that's probably why they both got their nose bleeding and all this stuff. Okay, so Dylan is like, what is going on? Xavier's like, I don't know, but let's get out of here. So he's like, okay, let's go. All right, so they take off, they get to the car, they drive off. Okay, so they get to talking in the car, and Dylan is like, what if we can contain the explosion? Like, we can't stop it, but what if we can contain it? And so Sinatra is like, well, you know what? The bunker can sustain a nuclear blast from the outside. And she said, so it should be able to hold a nuclear blast from the inside, but we got to shut those doors because remember, the doors are open now. So she's like, all right, we got to get to the towers. Okay, so they stop, they drop the kids off. They're like, okay, y'all go get to safety. Dylan, you go with them. And then me and Xavier will go and handle the stuff in the tower. Sinatra tells Dylan, she's like, I'll see you later, Dylan. And she said, don't worry, everything's going to be okay. Her daughter is like, Mom, where are you going? And she's like, I'm going to make everything right. So Xavier and Sinatra, they get out, they head to the towers. They get to the tower and Sinatra says, in order for the doors to be closed, they have to be activated from within, which means whoever activates them, they have to stay inside and go down with the ship. Now, she has an epiphany because Dylan says, what's your dad's name to Priestley? And so she says Xavier, or X. Everybody calls him X. And so Sinatra, she remembers the little piece of paper she got from Alex where it says user X. And she's like, oh my gosh, ding, 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 ding. Xavier is user X. This is for him. So she's like, okay, I got it. I know exactly what to do. And now I'm starting to put two and two together. And I was like, not Sinatra being the good guy now. Okay. So Sinatra, she tells Xavier something that we don't hear. And she's like, Xavier, it has been a pleasure. I'm so glad you're still alive. And I got this. And he's like, wait, what? So she shuts the door. She locks it. And he's like, no, you're going to close the doors? And she's like, yes, get out of here, X. Go be with your family. Y'all. And Xavier takes off running like hell. And I was like, run, Forrest, run. So he's ready trying to get out the bunker. Okay, so everybody's leaving the bunker. Sinatra, she watches X leave. This activates the doors, closes the doors. Now, we see the whole bunker is just crumbling. Sinatra, she's walking through the town, just looking around. Everything is falling down all around her. And we go to Gabby's house, the shower, where Jane was. And y'all, Jane's gone. Where Jane at? Who knows? But Jane ain't in that shower. So Jane is still very much alive. I said, Can't keep a good girl down. Once a good girl is gone bad, she's gone forever. There's another explosion, and we just see the whole bunker from the outside just crumbling to the ground. So everybody has gotten out. Hadley, she's reunited with her dad. He's like, where your mama at? And she's just like, and so he's like, oh my God. He knows that she shut the doors. Terry, James, and Priestley, they're reunited, and they're like, where X at? Where X at? So they looking for him. Here comes Xavier. Woo! The whole family is finally back together after 2 complete seasons. Oh my gosh. It was a beautiful reunion. And then here comes Jeremy running out. He runs over to Priestley and they kissing. I said, girl, leave that little boy alone. And so X is like, that's enough of that. So they're all together. X shows Dylan where the baby is. He's holding his baby and he's like, oh my gosh, she looks like Annie. What's her name? And Xavier's like, I just been calling her Annie's baby. And so he said, I like Annie better. And so he's like, me too. So they named the baby Annie. And we hear what Sinatra told Xavier in Tower. Okay, so Sinatra says, surprise, there's a second bunker! Y'all, did I not say this? I said this earlier when Dylan Link at that time, when he got to the bunker, and I said, what if he ain't even at the right bunker? What if there's more than one bunker? Y'all! A second bunker, and it's beneath the Denver airport, and that's where Alex is. So that's why she was on a damn subway riding. She says it's like 100 miles away. So they built this little subway that connects them together. And she says Alex is down there. Alex is a quantum computer, and it can stop bad things from happening, and it actually already has stopped all of this from happening. All X has to do is go down there, follow the instructions, these coordinates or whatever, and then that will make everything right. And so Xavier is like, what make you think I would even do this? And Sinatra says, I think you already have. And so I believe that that is the connection to Xavier having already known Dylan Link before he ever knew him. That's why their noses are always bleeding at random times. It has something to do with that. Xavier is going to save the world by preventing all of this from happening, and he's already done it. He just has to go do it now in the present, which is really the past, and everything will be right. So y'all, I was like, oh my gosh, the way I was screaming at my TV, this was great. I mean, this by far has been the best show I have watched the entire month of March, and what a way to close out the month. Y'all, I'm ready for season 3. Like, come on. Let's get it going. I am ready. We don't need a year, 2 years, because we're going to forget all this stuff. Like, get it while the hype is good. Come on, by the end of this year, we could get season 3 going. So, anyway, y'all, what did y'all think? Did y'all love this show as much as I did? Did y'all see any of this coming? Like, I know we put some clues together, but like, did you put the whole thing together? Like, what are your other questions? Because my biggest question now is, where is Jane? Because, and how are we gonna like go back in time so that now Sinatra is gonna be alive? Because I think that's definitely gonna happen. That's why she was so eager to like go and do all this, because she knows that they can go back in time and she can come back and not have never died in the first place. So anyways, get into these comments with me, y'all, because I am hyped right now. Also, it should not be coming on at midnight because I be staying up waiting for this show to come on, and then I be excited at 1 a.m. and everybody be asleep. So, y'all, let me know your thoughts. What were your favorite moments? Like, oh, this is a good show. Okay, so I'm on all the socials, Your TV Movie Bestie. Like, subscribe, follow, and I will see y'all for the next show on the next episode. Bye, besties.